Welcome back, everybody. As you probably guessed from the intro, we are going over this firearm right here. This is the brand new, as of when I'm recording this anyway, at least for the civilian market, Glock 47 MOS Gen 5. These were originally released for the Department of Homeland Security and then eventually the Secret Service, but now Glock has released them to us lowly plebes. So I do have one in here today. We're going to be putting a bunch of rounds through it. We're going to go over it in detail, kind of let you guys know why you may or may not want one, and all those sorts of things. Before we do that, I do want to thank the folks over at Firearms Depot because they did send this out for the review. Glock hates me, hates my channel, hates everything I have to say about their guns, even though I kind of like their guns. So again, thanks to Firearms Depot for sending it out. Also, big shout out to Minute Ammunitions for being the 9mm ammo sponsor. Now let's get into this thing. As we get into the details of the pistol, we'll make sure it's clear first. It does have that Gen 5 magazine release, which of course is larger than your Gen 3 would have been. Press that down. It does come with 3 standard capacity magazines that are compatible with like your Glock 17, Glock 45, Glock 19X, depending on which base plates you have there on the 19X. It does have the Gen 5 base plates. We should point that out, but any of your earlier generation mags will work just fine in there as well. Our slide lock, slide release is ambidextrous, so you can push up on that, pull back on our slide, and verify that we are clear, which of course we are. Biggest difference that you're going to see on this versus a Glock 17 is actually up here at the front. Typically we start here at the base plate, but I'm going to work up front just to kind of show you guys. So here we have our Gen 4 Glock 17, and this one of course has the standard length dust cover for a full-size Glock, and you will see here on the 47 we do not have that. The actual dust cover length is the 19 length. So the reason they did that, or the way they were able to do that I should say, is that the slide assembly for the Gen 5 19 or again the 19X or the 45 is what you actually see in there. Why would they do that? Well, the Department of Homeland Security wanted guns that were interchangeable. Both the 26, the 19, and then the 47 is what they ordered at the time, but they wanted the 47 and the 19s to be interchangeable. I'm guessing it was an armor issue and parts compatibility issue. So Glock made this with that capability. So just like the 43 and the 48 have the same frame, but the 48 has that little piece that extends in the slide, the exact same thing is true here with the 47 versus the 17 full size. Now, of course, it will fit in the exact same holsters. So if you're looking for a holster for the 47, you're going to want to get a holster for a Glock 17 or Glock 22. But just know that they did have to make some changes there on the slide by adding that piece. But if you look in there, you can actually see the guide rod and spring assembly, which would be the exact same size as the 19. So why would you like that? Well, if you have both the 19, you can make some different size guns like a 19 long slide, which is essentially what the 45 and the 19X are inverted. So the 19X and the 45 are like a 19 size slide with a full size frame. You can switch that out by adding this onto your 19 if you have one and make yourself a shorter grip with a longer slide. Some people like that for a concealed carry, and you can have that. So that is what the gun is in a nutshell. Now getting into the actual details of the firearm. Just in general, we do have a flared mag well. It's flared here at the base plate and then has these guides built into the actual grip itself. It does have Gen 5 texturing, which is very nice. I have not been mad at all about the Gen 5 texturing. It does come with 2 back straps. So the earlier Gen 5s and the Gen 4s came with 4. This comes with 2. We have the next largest size up there on this particular one, which makes it the same grip circumference as a Gen 3 Glock. You can see here in a Gen 4, I don't have any additional back straps on there, and that's because my wife shoots this pistol a lot. It fits our hands a little bit better. Additionally, you'll note Gen 5, we do not have the finger grooves like we have on the Gen 3s and the Gen 4s. Additionally, this, as you can see here, is what we call a 3-pin Glock. 1 pin here, 2 pins up front. This on the Gen 5 is a 2-pin Glock, meaning 1 there and 1 on the rear. We've added, again, that larger back strap in there, which gives you a little bit of a veer tail. For folks who have large hands like myself, it prevents slide bite, which for me, not a huge issue with Glocks, but I know for a lot of folks it is. Continuing on forward on the frame, it has that shortened dust cover, but it is large enough that any of your standard lights, lasers, etc. will fit on there just fine. So that's great, of course, for guys who want to use the firearm for duty use, home defense use, anything like that. Standard Glock trigger guard, nothing too fancy to write home about. And the trigger itself is a Gen 5 trigger, so it's an improvement for sure over the Gen 3s in my opinion. We have our mushy uptake, and then we hit our wall and roll through it. Reset. Right there, very positive, very tactile, audible. Glock has one of the better resets in the game, in my opinion. And the break is just, it's nice. It's better than the Gen 3s, Gen 2s for sure. It's not going to compete with like a Walther or a Canic or anything like that, but it is perfectly usable. Continuing on to the slide, we do have the nitrocarburized finish, which is going to give you good corrosion resistance, surface hardness, all of those sorts of things. Front side serrations, for those of you guys who want to press check gang, you can do that. And then same serrations here on the rear. It does come with Glock plastic sights, which of course are terrible, and Glock should be embarrassed to ship any gun with. But we did add the excess sights on here. These of course are optics height sights, so that way whenever I put an optic on there, which I certainly will do, I'll get around to that, they will be able to co-witness with it, but of course they're perfectly usable as they are with that bright green ring there around the front, and then the subdued 2 dots there in the rear. One thing that is different on this versus some of my other Gen 5s is that this piece here, which is the plate, that doesn't, of course, allow for optics mounting, but just for standard iron sights, is plastic. Some of my earlier ones were metal. This one is plastic. That's probably a rolling change in the Glock line, at least I would imagine so. Getting into the internals, we will point in a safe direction, press the trigger, pull down on the 2 tabs. Nothing fancy at all with Glock. And you guys can take a look at the internals in there. Our ejector standard, again, 19x45. I believe it is number 47021 for you guys who are junkies like that. And then we have our dual captive recoil spring, and you guys can get a look there at the 107 marking there on the spring. Barrel has that Gen 5 non-polygonal or polygonal rifling. The marksman barrel is what they call it. You guys can get a look at it there. Nice finish on there, the same as the slide. And looking at the internals there, nothing too fancy going on, but the big difference, of course, is that it uses this 19 size spring assembly and guide rod. So putting it back in there, if we don't get it stuck, you guys can see it slides right back in. But again, that little gap there, that's the difference between the full-size 17 and the 19. That allows this gun to be sort of modular in that regard in terms of which slide you want to run. In the gun right now, we have some normal hollow points, obviously 108 grade, all copper. We'll see how she feeds that versus the Minuteman we've been giving it a steady diet of so far. Ate them up just fine. So we have our 47 and our 17. Obviously this is Gen 4, Gen 5, but other than that, very similar in size. We're going to see how the recoil feels. The 47 is actually a different weight than the 17. So up first, we will shoot the 17 and kind of get an idea what that feels like. We're using 115 grain munitions. All right. Now 47. From the user perspective, I can't tell a difference in the recoil impulse. It feels the same, tracks the same. It's definitely not bad at all, as you would expect with a 9mm pistol of this size. At this point in the video, we've covered most of the important things on the firearm itself. A few things that we have left out though. Number one is going to be reliability. That of course is paramount for any type of self-defense duty type of firearm. This one's been 100% so far with all of the ammo that we put through it. Y'all just saw the normal that we put through it for our hollow points. We've also shot 115 and 124 grain Minuteman munitions, which has been the majority of the just over 500 rounds we have put through this pistol. Again, grand total of 0 malfunctions of any kind, which is exactly what I would expect from Glock. Say what you will about Glocks. Some folks don't like certain things about them. I am on that list, but they are very reliable, very dependable guns. There is no getting around it. So some pros of it, definitely going to be reliability. I think the trigger on Glocks on a relative scale is a pro. It's very good. It's very shootable. Again, compared to other offerings like a Canik or a Walther or even some of the CZ offerings, it is not as good for sure. A con to it is always going to be those plastic sights. There's no way Glock should sell a firearm with plastic sights on them. Anyone who has shot them enough or been through enough training schools has seen them fly off of guns. It absolutely happens. It is a very real thing. Again, Glock should be embarrassed with that. Another con of it that I noticed with this one that I haven't noticed with other MOS pistols, and let me know down below in the comments if you guys have seen this. So it only comes with one, at least this particular one right here, only came with one plate for it instead of like the, the pack of plates that the MOS is used to come with. And then, I'm sure you can buy whatever plates for whatever optics you want to run. Of course, you guys will see this in the future with optics on it, but it only came with one optic plate, which I thought was a little bit strange, again, compared to other MOSs out there. And the last con that we're going to put in the video is going to be cost. So this one here, the Glock 47 only, as far as I know anyway, only comes in the MOS version, and the cheapest that you're going to see it anywhere on the internet is going to be $620. Again, the folks at Firearms Depot did send this one out for this review. Big thanks to them. If you guys are watching anywhere but YouTube, there will be a link to the video, to the pistol rather, in the video description. And in terms of cost, when you compare it to some of the competitive offerings out there, it's pretty expensive. Now, again, it's an optics ready pistol, so you have to keep that in mind when comparing it to competitive offerings. But it's not cheap, but the Glock brand is proven. Pros and cons for sure. Would I trust this with my life? Absolutely I would at this point. You guys know, going back, I've been a big fan of Glocks. I rag on certain things about them, but they're good guns overall. The downside to Glocks is, again, that they are a little bit stagnant in terms of innovation, but the reason they're able to be like that is because they make a good product and always have since the Gen 1s. Some folks like the lack of finger grooves. I don't care about finger grooves. I do like the new grip texture. Right now we're shooting out here, it's a little bit chilly out, but if you're in hot environments, that new grip texture does stick to you pretty darn well. It's not so aggressive that it's going to tear up your clothes or anything like that, but I do find it relatively comfortable. If you guys are new to shooting, you will probably find the Glock grip angle to be uncomfortable, but because that's what I started shooting on, was a Glock 22. For me, it's a very natural grip angle and I do like it. I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions about this gun, anything like that, let us know down below in the comments. Who is the Glock 47 for? I think it's for the Glock collector or somebody who just wants a full-size gun. Would you get this over 17 MOS? I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of a wash in my opinion. The advantage you get on this is, of course, being able to make that Glock 19L, or if you have the Glock 19, you can also make like a Glock 19X type gun or a Glock 45 if you want to swap slides around and things like that. For a Glock enthusiast, I think that probably will sell a bunch of these guns. But again, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching. If you're not subscribed and you like this type of video, definitely hit the subscribe button, regardless of where you're watching. Additionally, if you like this video, subscribed, and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month, and it has all of the videos since my previous month's email goes out, so that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. And if this thing goes on sale, the sights go on sale, the ammo goes on sale, the optics for it, any of that stuff goes on sale, it will go out in my daily deals email. As the name indicates, it has 6 or 7 of the best deals that we find around the internet. If it's in my daily deals email, it's the cheapest that I know of anywhere on the internet, so that way it saves you guys some time, because I've already done the price comparisons for you and hopefully saved you some money as well with the good deals. So definitely sign up for that. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.